Leon Edwards vs. Colby Covington is official for UFC 296 in Las Vegas. And what this tells us is that Conor McGregor will not be fighting this year, and we already knew that. At least most of us already knew that, but Conor had repeatedly stated that he was going to fight this year, despite the fact he missed the deadline to enter the USADA pool if he wanted to fight in December. But because of this, it's looking increasingly likely that Conor vs. Michael Chandler will take place on UFC 300. If that fight even takes place at all, Conor doesn't really seem too excited to fight Michael Chandler at this point. But let's get into Colby Covington vs. Leon Edwards. So Leon Edwards is on a 12-fight win streak. He's only lost once in the UFC, and that was against Kamaru Usman in, I believe, his debut or his second fight. It was very early on in his UFC career. And since then, he has gone on a 12-fight win streak, avenged his loss against Kamaru Usman to win the title, and then defended his belt in the trilogy against Usman. And he is now making his second title defense. As for Colby Covington, he's coming off just over a year-and-a-half layoff. His last fight was against Jorge Masvidal in early 2022. And then before that, a lot of people thought he beat Usman, or at least it was a tie in their second fight. I personally think Usman clearly won the fight 3-2, with one of those rounds being a 10-8, but I can see the argument for maybe a draw. Now, the clear difference maker in this fight is the wrestling of Colby Covington. A lot of the people who are riding with Leon are picking him because of how he defended Usman's takedowns in the rematch. However, Colby's wrestling is a lot different than Usman's and actually provides a bigger challenge to Leon. Usman's wrestling is nowhere near where it used to be. His shots have gotten very sloppy and slow, and because of how terrible his knees are, he doesn't have the same drive on his takedowns like he used to. Takedowns start with the legs, and because of how weak Usman's legs are nowadays, it's been much harder for him to attempt takedowns, and that was very clear in the trilogy fight with Leon Edwards, as multiple times Leon would expose his hips and give Usman a chance to shoot for a takedown, but he just never would. Colby, on the other hand, is going to take these openings every single time. Colby's shots are super fast and explosive. His chain wrestling is one of the biggest assets he has in this fight. His ability to transition from a double leg to a single leg, or from a single leg to the clinch against the cage and potentially go for a trip, is elite. Whereas Usman was much more of a singular shot fighter. He would shoot for a double leg, and if he didn't get it, he would abandon it. And that's actually a big reason why Leon was able to defend so many of Usman's takedowns in the third fight. Leon's very good at defending the initial shot. It's the second and third shot behind that initial takedown attempt that he really struggles with. Colby is also always looking to attack different positions and pass guard or take your back, which we saw him do in the Jorge Masvidal fight. And what does Leon do whenever he gets taken down? He turtles, gives up his back, and tries to get up. Now, he could get away with doing this against Usman because Usman has zero jiu-jitsu, zero grappling, and doesn't even look for positions. Colby, on the other hand, is going to attack these positions. Now, is Colby going to finish Leon on his back? Probably not. But is he going to sit there and win the round and possibly even win a 10-8? Absolutely. Colby's output and overall pressure on the feet will also cause Leon a ton of issues. Leon is much more of a distance striker with low output, throwing mostly jabs, crosses, and kicks. He likes to jab, kick, and move away. Colby, on the other hand, is super aggressive with insane output. Colby is constantly on the front foot, putting a pace on his opponents, overwhelming them with punches, and sort of dirty boxes them up close. Now, Colby can get very sloppy with his punches, and he does throw a lot out there, which is going to leave rooms for Leon to counter him. Colby can get hit, and he doesn't have the best chin. Jorge dropped him, and Usman dropped him many times. But Leon has to be careful with his shot selection, because if he overextends or exposes his hips too much, Colby's going to dive on his hips. As well, he cannot cover up in this fight. If he covers up, he exposes his hips, and Colby takes him down super easily. I'm pretty sure Kamaru Usman took him down a couple times because he covered up or overextended on a left hook or a right hook, I can't remember. As well, Leon has to constantly move in this fight, and he needs to stay away from the fence. As we talked about before, Colby's chain wrestling is amazing, and he can transition super well from in the middle of the octagon shots to takedowns against the cage. And the closer Leon is to the fence, the easier it is going to be for Colby to take him down, and that's the key to victory. He has to not get taken down. He's got to use his footwork and move laterally, stay at range, and pick apart Colby. Colby, on the other hand, needs to get up close, get in range, dirty box him, and take him to the ground. He has to be very careful, though, with Leon clinching him, as Leon has very good Muay Thai, and he could definitely transition into the Thai clinch and land elbows or knees, or potentially off the break. That right hook is going to be there. Leon also has to manage his gas tank very well. In the first Usman fight, he completely gassed out. Now, that fight was at elevation, and a lot of people on that card gassed out. Whereas in the third Usman fight, Leon's cardio looked very well. However, no one Leon has fought besides sort of Nate Diaz has put a pace on him and put him on the back foot. His last fight against Usman was a pretty slow pace, and Usman doesn't make his opponents work like Colby does. Colby's going to be throwing 300 strikes, he's going to attempt 30 takedowns, he's going to constantly make Leon Edwards work. If Leon does gas out, it opens up the opportunity for Colby to potentially get a submission or even a standing TKO. So how do I see this fight going? I see Colby coming out super aggressive, putting Leon on the back foot instantly. I think as Colby moves forward, Leon's going to constantly throw jabs, crosses. I think Leon will also defend a few of the initial takedowns, and he'll probably win the first round or two. And I wouldn't be surprised if he even drops Colby early. But I think as the fight goes on, as Colby continues to put a pace on Leon, as Colby is able to find his way into range, the takedowns will start coming, and I think Colby will start to take over in the later rounds. Colby doesn't have the best striking defense, and as he enters in recklessly, because of how accurate Leon is and the precision he has, he can always catch Colby moving in. Because they are in the same stance, if Leon steps to the inside of Colby's frame, while Colby moves into range, Leon could line up and time that left hand to intercept Colby's aggression. And that's why this fight is very hard to predict. Right now, my early prediction is that Colby is going to win a decision, probably a 3-2, possibly a 4-1 decision over Leon Edwards. I think Leon will steal the first round or two, but I think as the rounds go on, as Leon gets tired, the takedowns are going to become much easier. However, we did see in that Usman fight that even when Leon is dead tired, he still carries knockout power. And if Colby starts dominating the later rounds and gets even more aggressive than he already is and exposes himself, Leon could absolutely finish the fight. But that is my early prediction. I'm going to go with Colby Covington by a decision. That fight is 3 months away, and that card is looking incredible. But anyways, that is the end of the video. If you guys are new here, please subscribe if you want to. Like the video if you did enjoy. Leave your prediction in the comments down below. Comment any other thing you want. If you want me to cover any of the other fights on this card, I wasn't planning on making a video on any of them. But if you want me to make a video on Patty versus Tony or something, tell me and I will. Follow my brand on Instagram, pardon.store. New stuff soon. All links in the description. Follow myself on Twitter and Instagram, also linked in the description. And I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm stuck in a bad dream. Hollywood rich girl stuck in my backseat. And she wanna get at me, but the day's too short. Can't let her distract me.